Hey warriors, right now, while you're watching this, something inside you is screaming. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a persistent hum beneath the surface of your everyday life. It's the version of yourself you haven't met yet, the one who's stronger, clearer, braver, more alive. And that version, they're tired of waiting for you to show up. You know that feeling when you see someone living the life you want, and instead of inspiration, you feel something sharper, something that cuts. That's not jealousy, that's recognition. Your soul saying, that could be me, that should be me. Why isn't that me? The gap between who you are and who you could be isn't as wide as you think. It's not years of work. It's not some impossible transformation. It's not reserved for people luckier, smarter, or more talented than you. It's 0.01%, repeated, compounded, made inevitable through consistency. But you've been lied to about change, sold a fantasy version that keeps you stuck. The overnight success, the dramatic reveal, the complete life overhaul in 30 days. None of it's real, and chasing it keeps you paralyzed, waiting for a moment that never comes. Real change. It's quiet, unglamorous, almost invisible at first. So small it feels like it doesn't count. 1% better sounds reasonable, but even that feels too big when you're starting from overwhelm. So we go smaller. 0.01%, 1/100th of 1%. A change so tiny your resistance doesn't even wake up. But here's where mathematics becomes magic. 0.01% improvement every day for 1 year doesn't make you 3.65% better. It makes you 37 times better. Because growth compounds. It multiplies. It builds momentum you can't stop once it starts. The butterfly doesn't force the tornado. It just flaps its wings. The universe handles the rest. Your small choice today creates weather systems of possibility you can't predict. You just have to make the choice. Ancient philosophers understood something we've forgotten in our addiction to instant results. They knew transformation isn't an event, it's a direction, a trajectory set by daily micro-decisions that either move you closer or keep you stuck. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while writing to himself, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your obstacles aren't blocking your path. They are the path. The resistance you feel, that's not a stop sign. That's confirmation you're at the edge of growth." Every single person who's achieved what you want has one thing in common. They started before they were ready. They moved before they had all the answers. They chose 0.01% when perfection felt mandatory. And through that tiny, consistent choosing, they became someone new. Not overnight, through 1,000 unremarkable mornings where they showed up anyway. You're standing at a fork right now, this exact moment. One path leads to next year looking exactly like this year. Same struggles, same patterns, same version of you wondering when things will finally change. The other path, it starts with 0.01%, with deciding that small is enough, that progress beats perfection, that becoming someone new doesn't require permission or perfect conditions or proof it'll work. It just requires starting. Today, now, this moment. So, I'm asking you to commit. Not to being perfect, to being present, to giving your future self the gift of your full attention right now. Before we dive in, hit that like button, drop a comment, share this with someone. Subscribe, because we're building a community that chooses growth over comfort, action over excuses. Your 0.01% journey starts now, not tomorrow, not Monday, now. I want you to declare this in the comments right now. I am ready for change. Let's begin. Number 1. The gap is the game. Stop running from the discomfort zone. Let me ask you something that'll reveal everything about where you're stuck. When was the last time you voluntarily chose discomfort? Not discomfort that happened to you, not stress from bills or problems or obligations, but discomfort you deliberately walked toward, on purpose, knowing it would be hard. I'm guessing it's been a while, maybe never, and that right there, that's the entire problem. We've been sold this toxic idea that life should feel good, that if something feels hard, painful, or uncomfortable, it means you're doing it wrong. That ease is the goal. Comfort is success. Smooth is the path. It's a beautiful lie, and it's destroying your potential. There's a concept in exercise science called progressive overload. Your muscles don't grow when you're comfortable. They grow when they're pushed slightly beyond their current capacity, just enough to create micro tears, just enough to trigger adaptation. Then you rest. Then you do it again, each time pushing slightly further than before. Your mind works the exact same way. Your emotional capacity, your resilience, your confidence, your entire operating system. Growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone, but here's the part everyone gets wrong. It also doesn't happen in your panic zone. That zone where you're so overwhelmed you shut down. Growth happens in the space between the discomfort zone, where it's hard but doable, challenging but not crushing, stretching but not snapping. That space, that's where 0.01% lives. Psychologist Lev Vygotsky called this the zone of proximal development. It's the sweet spot where learning actually occurs, just beyond what you can do easily, but not so far that it's impossible. Most people avoid this zone their entire lives. They stay comfortable until life forces them into panic. Then they retreat back to comfort as fast as possible. They never deliberately practice in the discomfort zone, and that's why they never grow. Why 10 years of experience becomes 1 year repeated 10 times. Why potential stays potential and never becomes reality. Here's your 0.01% shift. Every single day, do one thing that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Not terrifying, not traumatizing, just uncomfortable, awkward, uncertain, new. Have a conversation you've been avoiding. Try a skill you're bad at. Speak up when you normally stay quiet. Ask for something you want. Set a boundary. Do the task you've been procrastinating. Something that makes your stomach tighten just a little. That makes you want to retreat. That triggers that voice saying, maybe later, maybe tomorrow, maybe never. Do it anyway, not aggressively, gently, like you're testing a muscle you haven't used in years. Here's what most people don't understand. Confidence doesn't create action. Action creates confidence. You're waiting to feel brave before you do the brave thing. But that's not how courage works. Courage is doing the thing despite feeling scared. And then, after you've done it, confidence quietly emerges. Think about the first time you drove a car. Terrifying, right? Your hands gripped the wheel. Your heart raced. Every decision felt massive. Now, you drive while thinking about groceries, humming to music, barely paying attention. What changed? Not the car, not the road. Your capacity. Your nervous system adapted through repeated exposure to discomfort. You can do this with anything. Public speaking, leadership, vulnerability, creativity, difficult conversations, risk-taking, any edge where you feel uncertain. The discomfort zone is where your future self is forged. But here's the key. You can't live there 24 hours a day. That's burnout. That's unsustainable. That's panic zone masquerading as hustle culture. You visit the discomfort zone intentionally, briefly, daily, like going to the gym. You work out for an hour, not all day. The rest of your time? Rest. Recover. Integrate. Let your nervous system adapt to the new capacity you're building. This is the rhythm of growth. Challenge, rest, challenge, rest. Each cycle, you expand what's comfortable. What used to be discomfort becomes your new baseline. And here's where it gets powerful. The gap between where you are and where you want to be. That gap is the game. You're not trying to eliminate the gap. You're trying to get comfortable being in the gap. Learning to operate there, to exist in that space of not yet, but working on it. Most people see the gap as evidence they're failing. Look how far I have to go. Look at what I don't know. Look at who I'm not yet. Reframe it. The gap is proof you're growing. It means you're reaching for something beyond your current capacity. It means you're not stagnant, not stuck, not settling. The gap is information. It's showing you exactly where your next 0.01% needs to go. There's a technique in cognitive behavioral therapy called exposure therapy. It's how people overcome phobias. You don't avoid the fear. You gradually, systematically expose yourself to it in controlled doses until your nervous system learns it's not actually dangerous. You're going to do the same thing with growth, with challenge, with the discomfort of becoming more than you currently are. Start small today, ridiculously small. Email you've been avoiding, write one sentence. Skill you want to learn, practice for 2 minutes. Conversation you need to have. Say one honest thing. Feel that slight tension. That's not danger, that's development. That's your nervous system saying, this is new, and getting ready to adapt. Do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and watch what happens. Watch how quickly uncomfortable becomes familiar. Watch how fast your capacity expands. Athletes call this training to failure, pushing until you literally can't do another rep. But they don't do it recklessly. They do it strategically, knowing that's where strength is built. You're training your mental and emotional muscles the same way, finding your edge, pushing it slightly, resting, doing it again. 6 months from now, things that terrify you today will feel mundane, not because they got easier, because you got stronger, braver, more capable, and that only happens by spending time in the discomfort zone, by making friends with the tension, by recognizing that the feeling of, I don't know if I can do this, is actually the feeling of growth happening in real time. Here's your practice. Tonight, plan tomorrow's discomfort. Decide what one slightly uncomfortable thing you'll do. Schedule it, commit to it, then do it. Notice the resistance, notice the urge to avoid. Do it anyway. Notice how you feel after. Probably a little proud, a little relieved, a little stronger. That's 0.01%. That's the compound interest of courage. That's how you close the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. Not by waiting to feel ready, by choosing discomfort intentionally and watching your capacity expand in response. The gap is the game. Stop running from it. Start playing in it. That's where your transformation lives. Drop this in the comments. I choose growth over comfort. Number 2. Become a curator, not a consumer. Your attention is your destiny. Here's a question that's going to sting a little. If someone looked at your screen time, your browser history, your subscriptions, your consumed content over the last 30 days, what would they conclude about your priorities, about your values, about where you're headed? Be honest. Would they see someone building a future or someone killing time? Because here's the brutal truth nobody wants to hear. You are not what you eat. You are what you consume mentally. And most of you are binge-eating digital junk food 16 hours a day. Scrolling, clicking, watching, reacting, consuming, and wondering why you feel empty. There's a term in economics called opportunity cost. Every choice you make eliminates another choice. Every minute spent here is a minute not spent there. Right now, while you're watching this, You're choosing not to do 1,000 other things. That's not bad, that's just reality. The question is, are you choosing intentionally or defaulting mindlessly? Most people aren't consumers anymore. They're consumption zombies, auto-playing through life, letting algorithms decide what goes into their mind, letting other people's agendas colonize their attention. And attention is everything. Your attention is the most valuable resource you possess. More valuable than your time, more valuable than your money, because attention is what you trade for everything else. You trade attention for knowledge, for relationships, for income, for growth, for entertainment, for distraction, for meaning or meaninglessness. Show me what you pay attention to, and I'll show you who you'll become. It's that simple, that precise, that unforgiving. Here's the shift. Stop being a passive consumer. Become an active curator. A consumer takes whatever's offered. A curator selects intentionally, chooses deliberately, says no far more than yes. Museums don't display every piece of art ever created. They curate. They select pieces that align with their vision, their standards, their purpose. You need to curate your inputs the same way. There's research from Microsoft showing the average human attention span dropped from 12 seconds in 2000 to 8 seconds today. 8 seconds, less than a goldfish. And it's getting worse. Why? Because we're training our brains to be distracted, to constantly switch, to never go deep, to graze on surface-level content and never actually digest anything meaningful. And then we wonder why we can't focus, why we can't think clearly, why we feel anxious and scattered and overwhelmed. You've been hacked. Your attention has been weaponized against you by apps designed by the smartest engineers in the world, whose entire job is keeping you scrolling, clicking, consuming. They're winning, and you're losing unless you fight back, unless you reclaim your attention as sacred territory. Here's your 0.01% practice. Conduct a brutal audit. Look at everything you consumed yesterday. Everything. Social media, news, YouTube videos, podcasts, TV shows, articles, conversations, all of it. Now ask, did this make me better? Did this teach me something useful? Did this inspire meaningful action? Did this align with who I'm becoming? Or did this just steal 30 minutes I'll never get back while making me feel worse about myself, angrier about the world, or more distracted from what actually matters? Be ruthless, because your future depends on it. Every piece of content is either building you or draining you, expanding you or diminishing you, moving you forward or holding you back. There's no neutral, there's no harmless. There's only aligned or misaligned with your vision. Cut everything misaligned. Unfollow, unsubscribe, delete, block, remove. Create friction between you and the things that drain you. Then, and this is crucial, replace it with intentional inputs, not more consumption, better consumption. One podcast episode that teaches you something applicable. One chapter of a book that challenges your thinking. One conversation with someone further ahead than you. Quality over quantity. Depth over breadth. Intention over automation. Here's what's wild. Most people spend more time choosing what to eat for lunch than choosing what to feed their mind all day. They'll research restaurants, read reviews, check ingredients, but they'll scroll whatever the algorithm serves. Watch whatever auto plays next, consume whatever's trending, and then wonder why their mind feels like garbage. Naval Ravikant, entrepreneur and philosopher, said, "If you eat, invest, and think according to what the news advocates, you'll end up nutritionally, financially, and morally bankrupt." The news isn't information anymore. It's outrage fuel, designed to trigger your amygdala, to keep you afraid, angry, and addicted. Same with most social media. It's not connection, it's comparison, it's performance, it's everybody's highlight reel versus your behind the scenes. And you're absorbing it all, letting it shape your worldview, your self-image, your sense of possibility or impossibility. Stop. Just stop. You don't need to know everything happening everywhere. You need to know what's relevant to your growth, your goals, your immediate sphere of influence. Everything else is noise. Entertaining noise, maybe, but noise nonetheless. Here's a test. If you removed it from your life completely, would anything actually change? Would you lose knowledge you need, opportunities you'd miss, relationships that matter? Or would you just have more time, more clarity, more mental space for what actually moves your life forward? You know the answer. You've known it for a while. You're just scared to act on it, scared of missing out, scared of being uninformed, scared of disconnection. But here's the truth. The people building extraordinary lives aren't constantly plugged in. They're selectively engaged. They protect their attention like their life depends on it. Because it does. Steve Jobs had a famous practice. Every morning he'd ask himself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? Ask yourself the same thing about consumption. If I only had 1 hour of input today, would I choose this? Would this be worth the exchange? Most of what you consume wouldn't pass that test. So why are you consuming it? Here's your new standard. Before you click, scroll, watch, or listen, pause, ask, is this aligned with who I'm becoming? Will this add value or just add volume? If you can't answer yes immediately, skip it, move on, choose something better, or choose nothing. Silence is underrated. Boredom is where creativity lives, where ideas emerge, where you actually process what you've consumed instead of just layering more and more and more. But you never let yourself be bored anymore. Every spare second gets filled with content, with stimulation, with other people's thoughts drowning out your own. Give yourself space, give yourself silence, give yourself permission to consume less and create more. Because here's the final truth. Consumption is passive. Creation is active, and you become what you practice most. If you practice consuming all day, you become a consumer. If you practice creating, even in small ways, you become a creator. One feeds you, one drains you, one builds a future, one borrows from it. Today, right now, decide. What's your new curation standard? What stays? What goes? What gets your precious, irreplaceable attention? Then enforce it, protect it, defend it like your life depends on it. Because your life, the quality of your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, your results, absolutely depends on it. Become a curator. Take back your attention. Watch how fast everything else changes when you change what you feed your mind. Drop this in the comments. I am the architect of my future. Number 3. Install the failure firmware. Make losing your competitive advantage. Let me tell you about the most expensive mistake you're making right now. You're treating failure like it's optional, like it's something to avoid at all costs. Like smart people, successful people, winners somehow bypass failure on their way to the top. That's not just wrong, it's backwards. The most successful people you admire, they didn't succeed despite failure. They succeeded because of it, through it, by deliberately installing failure as part of their operating system. Let me explain what I mean. Right now, your relationship with failure is broken. You see it as evidence you're not good enough, as proof you should quit, as embarrassment to hide and minimize and never speak of again. So, you play it safe. You stay small. You only attempt things you're pretty sure you can win at. And in doing so, you guarantee mediocrity, because anything worth achieving lives on the other side of multiple failures. There's a concept in Silicon Valley called fail fast. but most people misunderstand it. They think it means reckless risk-taking. It doesn't. It means get to your failures quickly so you can learn quickly, so you can iterate quickly, so you can succeed sooner. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the research and development phase of success. Thomas Edison tested over 10,000 materials before finding the right filament for the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's not positive thinking. That's accurate thinking. That's understanding that failure is data, information, feedback. The universe telling you, not that way, try this way. But you're not listening because you're too busy feeling ashamed, too busy protecting your ego, too busy pretending you never tried so you don't have to admit you tried and it didn't work. Here's the shift. Stop avoiding failure. Start collecting it. Deliberately, systematically, like you're building a portfolio. Entrepreneurs have pitch decks. Athletes have highlight reels. You need a failure resume. A running list of everything you tried that didn't work. Everything you attempted that flopped. Every risk that didn't pay off. Not to dwell on it, to celebrate it. Because each failure means you tried. You risked. You stepped outside the safe zone. You gathered data nobody sitting on the sidelines will ever have. Professor Tal Ben-Shahar at Harvard actually assigned this to students. Create a failure resume. Document rejections, mistakes, flops, embarrassments. The students found it more valuable than their actual resumes. Why? Because it revealed courage, growth, resilience, the willingness to be wrong on the way to being right. Your real resume, the one that matters, isn't what you succeeded at on the first try. It's what you failed at repeatedly and kept going anyway. Here's your 0.01% shift. Aim to fail at something small today. On purpose, intentionally. Try something you're bad at. Ask for something you might not get. Pitch an idea that might get rejected. Have a conversation that might go awkwardly, not recklessly, strategically, with the explicit goal of practicing being okay with things not working out. Because right now, your nervous system treats failure like death. It triggers the same fight or flight response, same cortisol dump, same panic. And that response is crippling you, making you risk-averse, making you play small, making you choose comfort over growth every single time. You need to desensitize yourself to failure. The same way you desensitize yourself to cold water by taking cold showers, by deliberately exposing yourself in small doses until your system adapts. Athletes do this constantly. They practice missing. Golfers practice recovering from bad shots. Boxers practice getting hit and staying calm. They install the failure firmware, so when it happens in competition, they don't panic. You need to do the same thing in life. Practice failing in low-stakes situations, so when high-stakes moments come, you're not paralyzed by the possibility of things going wrong. Here's a powerful reframe. Every successful person has a higher failure rate than unsuccessful people. Not a lower one, higher. Because they're attempting more, risking more, trying things that might not work. While everyone else is playing it safe, they're out there collecting failures like badges of honor. Best-selling author Seth Godin says, "The person who fails the most wins." Not because failure is the goal, because attempts are the goal, and attempts inevitably include failures. You're focused on batting average, they're focused on at-bats. You want to succeed every time. They want to swing as many times as possible, knowing some will miss and some will be home runs. More swings equal more misses, but also more hits. That's just math. Think about learning to ride a bike. You fell. Probably many times, scraped knees, bruised ego, but you didn't interpret those falls as "I'm not a bike rider." You interpreted them as "I'm learning to be a bike rider." Same action, different interpretation, and that interpretation made all the difference. You need to bring that same mindset to everything. Stop interpreting failure as identity and start interpreting it as iteration. I failed becomes I'm in the learning phase. This didn't work becomes this approach didn't work. What's another approach? I'm not good at this becomes I'm not good at this yet. What do I need to practice? See the shift. You're not changing reality. You're changing your relationship with reality. And that changes everything, because when failure doesn't threaten your identity, you become unstoppable. You can try anything, risk anything, attempt anything, because the worst that can happen is you learn something, and learning is always valuable. Always. There's a concept in game theory called asymmetric risk. It means situations where the downside is limited, but the upside is unlimited. Most of your failures are asymmetric. The downside, embarrassment, wasted time, temporary discomfort, all recoverable, all survivable. The upside, breakthrough, success, transformation, life-changing results. You're avoiding attempts because you're overweighting the downside and underweighting the upside. You're playing not to lose instead of playing to win. Flip it. Start asking, what's the worst that happens if this fails? Can I survive that? Can I recover from that? If yes, and it almost always is, then the real question becomes, what's the best that happens if this works? Is that worth the risk of failure? Usually the answer is yes, but you never get there because you stop at, what if I fail, and never move past it. Here's your practice. Create a failure goal, not a success goal, a failure goal. I will collect 10 rejections this month. I will attempt 3 things I'm bad at this week. I will have 5 awkward conversations this quarter. Make failing the objective. And watch what happens. Watch how liberated you feel. Watch how much you attempt. Watch how many unexpected successes emerge from your willingness to fail. Because here's the secret. When you're trying to fail, failure stops being scary. It becomes expected, part of the process. And suddenly, you're free to try everything without the weight of needing it to work. And ironically, when you remove the pressure to succeed, you succeed more often. Because you're relaxed, experimental, willing to iterate, not attached to any one outcome. You become anti-fragile, a term coined by Nassim Taleb. Things that are fragile break under stress. Things that are robust resist stress. Things that are anti-fragile get stronger from stress. You want to be anti-fragile. And the only way to get there is by installing failure as a feature, not a bug. As fuel, not an obstacle. As necessary, not optional. So go fail at something today, something small, something safe. Just practice the motion, the feeling, the recovery. Notice that you survive. Notice that the world doesn't end. Notice that you're actually okay. Maybe even a little proud that you tried. That's your new firmware installing. That's 0.01% of failure tolerance building. Do it again tomorrow and the next day. Watch how quickly your capacity for risk expands. Watch how much more you attempt. Watch how your entire life trajectory shifts when failure stops being the enemy and becomes your competitive advantage. Let me see this declaration below. I learn from failure. Number 4. Architect your microenvironments. Design the path of least resistance to your goals. Answer this honestly. How many times have you set a goal with genuine intention, real motivation, complete commitment, and then watched it dissolve within days? Not because you're weak, not because you lack discipline, but because you're fighting uphill against an environment designed for your old self, not your future self. You want to eat healthier while your kitchen is stocked with junk. You want to read more while your phone sits 3 inches from your pillow. You want to save money while your credit card is saved in every shopping app. And then you wonder why willpower runs out by Tuesday. Here's what nobody tells you. Willpower is a terrible strategy. It's limited, depletable, unreliable, like a muscle that gets exhausted after too many decisions. Stanford researcher B.J. Fogg studied behavior change for decades and discovered something revolutionary. Behavior is not about motivation or willpower, it's about design, about making the desired behavior the path of least resistance. Think about it. You don't brush your teeth because you have incredible discipline. You brush them because your toothbrush is right there on the counter. The toothpaste is next to it. The sink is ready. The entire environment is designed to make brushing easier than not brushing. That's architecture. That's design. That's creating micro-environments where the right choice is the easy choice. Right now, your environment is fighting you. Every step toward your goal requires effort, decision-making, willpower, while every step toward your old habits is frictionless, automatic, already set up. Of course you keep failing. The game is rigged against you. Here's the shift. Stop relying on discipline. Start designing environments, micro-environments, small zones in your life where the future you is the default you. Your desk, your bedroom, your kitchen, your car, your phone, your morning routine, your evening wind down. Each one is either making growth easier or making stagnation easier. There's no neutral space. Every environment has bias built in. Psychologist Kurt Lewin developed field theory, the idea that behavior is a function of the person and their environment. Change the environment, and behavior changes automatically, without effort, without willpower. Want to work out more? Don't rely on motivation. Put your gym clothes next to your bed. Sleep in them if you have to. Remove every barrier between waking up and exercising. Want to eat better? Don't keep temptation foods in the house. Stock only what aligns with your goals. Make the healthy choice the convenient choice. Want to learn a new skill? Set up a dedicated space. Have the tools ready. Make it so starting takes zero mental energy. You're not changing your character, you're changing your defaults, and defaults determine outcomes far more than intentions ever will. Here's your 0.01% practice. Identify one behavior you want more of, just one. Now reverse engineer the environment that makes it inevitable. What physical setup makes this easier? What obstacles can you remove? What can you prepare in advance? How can you reduce the activation energy from "I should do this" to "I'm already doing this"? Remove friction from good behaviors. Add friction to bad ones. Want to stop scrolling at night? Charge your phone in another room, not just across the bedroom, another room. Make accessing it require getting up, walking, consciously choosing. Want to drink more water? Put bottles everywhere. Your desk, your car, your nightstand, your bag. Make not drinking water harder than drinking it. Want to write daily? Open a blank document before bed with tomorrow's date already typed. When you sit down in the morning, the page is waiting. No excuses, no setup, just write. This is called implementation intentions in psychology research. Not just deciding what you'll do, but deciding when, where, and how you'll do it. Pre-deciding so your future self doesn't have to. Studies show implementation intentions double success rates. Double. Just by adding environmental triggers and removing decision points. Because here's the truth, most failure happens at the decision point. That moment when you have to choose, when you have to activate willpower, when you have to fight inertia. Eliminate that moment. Make the decision in advance through environmental design. Make the behavior so obvious, so easy, so immediate that not doing it feels harder. James Clear wrote about this extensively in Atomic Habits. He calls it environment design. and argues it's the single most underutilized strategy in behavior change. Most people try to change themselves. Smart people change their surroundings and watch themselves change automatically in response. Think about casinos. They're designed to keep you gambling. No clocks, no windows, free drinks, maze-like layouts, constant stimulation. The environment is architected for one behavior: stay and spend. They're not relying on your willpower to fail. They're designing an environment where willpower doesn't stand a chance. You need to do the same thing, but for your goals, for your growth, for the person you're becoming. Create zones, micro-environments with one purpose, one identity, one set of default behaviors. Your workspace is for focus. Nothing else lives there. No distractions, no temptations, just the tools and cues for deep work. Your bedroom is for sleep, not scrolling, not working, not eating, just rest. Everything in that room reinforces one behavior. Your kitchen is set up for health, visible fruits, pre-cut vegetables, water bottles, healthy snacks at eye level. Junk food, either gone or hidden in inconvenient places. Each zone trains your brain. When I'm here, I do this. No decisions needed. The environment decides for you. There's a concept called decision fatigue. Every choice drains your mental energy. By the end of the day, you're making worse choices not because you're weak, but because you're depleted. Barack Obama wore the same suit every day as president. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit, not because they lacked style, because they understood. Trivial decisions drain the same tank as important ones. They eliminated unnecessary decisions through design. You can do the same. Lay out clothes the night before. Meal prep on Sundays. Have a morning routine so automatic you could do it asleep. Remove choice from everything that doesn't matter so you have energy for what does. Here's your practice. This week, redesign one micro-environment. Just one. Your desk, your phone home screen, your morning space, your evening routine. Ask, if this space was designed by someone who already has the habit I want, what would be different? Then make those changes. Move things, remove things, add things. Create an environment that serves your future, not your past. And here's what's beautiful. Once it's set up, it runs on autopilot. You don't have to be motivated every day. You don't have to resist temptation constantly. The environment does the heavy lifting. You just show up, and the design pulls you forward, makes the right choice automatic, makes growth the path of least resistance. This is 0.01% at the system level. You're not just changing behavior, you're building infrastructure that makes that behavior inevitable. Stop fighting yourself. Start designing for yourself. Architecture beats willpower every single time. Your environment is either a greenhouse for your growth or a graveyard for your goals. There's no middle ground. Look around right now. What's your space telling you to do? What behaviors is it making easy? What version of you is it designed for? If it's not aligned with who you're becoming, change it. Today, right now. Move one thing, remove one obstacle, add one trigger. That's your 0.01%, and it compounds faster than almost any other change you can make. Because good design doesn't just help you once, it helps you automatically, repeatedly, endlessly, every single day without you having to think about it. Design your micro-environments. Watch your life redesign itself in response. Comment this and make it your truth. I design my environment. Number 5. Operate on future logic, not current feelings. Borrow certainty from tomorrow. Here's the final framework, the one that ties everything together, the one that separates people who transform from people who try and quit. It's about time, not managing it, collapsing it. Right now, you're making decisions based on who you are today, what you feel today, what you know today, what seems possible today. And that's the trap. Because today, you hasn't achieved the goal yet. Today, you doesn't have the evidence. Today, you is operating from current limitations, not future possibilities. You're letting your present self make decisions for your future self. And your present self is scared, doubtful, uncertain, still carrying all the baggage and beliefs that created your current reality. Here's the shift that changes everything. Stop asking, "What should I do?" Start asking, "What would future me do?" Not the you from 5 years from now, the you from 6 months from now who's already done what you're trying to do, who's already become who you're trying to become. That version of you exists, not physically yet, but as a possibility, a probability, a potential reality waiting to be activated by your choices today. And that version has clarity you don't have yet, confidence you haven't built yet, perspective you can't see from here, but you can borrow it, you can channel it, you can make decisions as if you're already that person. There's a concept in physics called retrocausality, the idea that effects can precede causes, that the future can influence the past. It sounds like science fiction, but quantum mechanics suggests it's possible at the subatomic level. I'm not a physicist, but I know this works psychologically. When you operate from your future identity, you make different choices, and those choices literally create that future. You're not faking it, you're prototyping it, testing what it feels like to be that person, trying on that identity like clothes before you buy them. Athletes do this through visualization. They see themselves winning before the competition, feel the emotions, experience the success mentally first. Then their body follows the blueprint the mind created. You're going to do the same thing, but bigger, for your entire life, not just one performance. Here's your 0.01% practice. Every morning, before you start your day, spend 60 seconds being future you. Close your eyes. See yourself 6 months from now, the version who's already made the changes you're trying to make, who's already living the life you're trying to build. How does that person carry themselves? How do they think? What do they prioritize? What do they say no to? What decisions do they make easily that current you struggles with? Feel into that version, not as fantasy, as blueprint, as template, as guidance system. Then ask, what would future me do today? What choice would they make right now that current me is resisting? And do that thing, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if you don't fully believe it yet, even if current you wants to choose differently. You're training yourself to operate on future logic instead of current feelings. Current feelings say, "I'm tired." Skip the workout. Future logic says, future me never regrets working out, only regrets skipping. Current feelings say, "This is hard. Maybe I'm not cut out for this." Future logic says, future me knows this is where growth happens. This is exactly where I need to be. Current feelings say, "I'll start Monday. I'll wait until I'm ready." Future logic says, future me became future me by starting before they were ready. Today is the day. See the difference? You're not suppressing feelings. You're not ignoring emotions. You're just choosing which time frame to operate from, and that choice, repeated daily, literally creates your future. Because you're making decisions your future self would make. You're taking actions your future self would take. You're becoming them in real time. There's a therapeutic technique called future self-visualization, used in addiction recovery. Patients imagine their life 1 year sober, the relationships healed, the self-respect restored, the possibilities reopened. Then they're asked, what does that version of you need you to do today? And suddenly the hard choice becomes obvious, not easy, but obvious. Because they're not making the decision from their current craving, they're making it from their future freedom. You can apply this to anything, any goal, any change, any edge where you're stuck between who you are and who you want to become. Here's the power move. Write a letter from future you to current you. 6 months from now, after you've done the thing, become the person, achieved the goal. What does future you want to tell you? What do they wish current you knew? What decisions are they grateful you made? What risks are they glad you took? Write it in detail, make it real, make it specific. Then read it whenever current you wants to quit, hide, play small, or choose comfort. Let future you be your coach, your guide, your North Star. Because here's what's wild, that future version, they're looking back at this moment, at today, at right now, and they're either grateful you showed up, or they're disappointed you didn't. Either proud of your courage, or sad about your fear. Which emotion do you want them to feel when they look back at today? That question cuts through all the noise, all the excuses, all the confusion. You know what future you wants you to do. You've always known. You just haven't been listening because current you is louder. Turn down the volume on current feelings. Turn up the volume on future logic. This is the final 0.01%, the one that integrates all the others. Because when you operate from your future self, everything else clicks into place. You naturally choose discomfort over comfort because future you was built in the discomfort zone. You naturally curate better inputs because future you became future you through better information. You naturally embrace failure because future you knows failure was the tuition for success. You naturally design better environments because future you exists in an environment that supports growth. It all connects, it all compounds, it all starts with deciding to operate from tomorrow's certainty instead of today's doubt. Post this affirmation right now. I am my future self. So here we are. 5 frameworks, 5 mental shifts, 5 ways of thinking that sound simple but contain nuclear-level power when you actually apply them. Let me bring it all home. You don't need to overhaul your entire life tonight. You don't need a dramatic transformation by sunrise. You just need 0.01%, one tiny shift, one small choice, one degree of difference, but you need it today and tomorrow and the day after that, because transformation isn't an event, it's a direction, a trajectory, a consistent choosing of growth over comfort, future over present, becoming over being, the gap between who you are and who you could be. It's not as big as you think, it's not some impossible chasm, it's just a series of small decisions you haven't made yet. Decisions to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. Decisions to curate your inputs instead of consuming whatever's fed to you. Decisions to collect failures instead of avoiding them. Decisions to design your environment instead of fighting it. Decisions to operate from your future self instead of your current feelings. That's it. That's the entire game. Tiny decisions, repeated daily, compounding into undeniable transformation. 1 year from now, 365 days of 0.01% improvements, you won't recognize yourself, not because you did one big thing, because you did one small thing 365 times. And that consistency, that showing up when you don't feel like it, that choosing growth when comfort is easier, that's what separates people who change their life from people who just talk about changing their life. You've watched this entire video. That means something. That means you're different. You're someone who finishes what they start. Someone who invests in themselves. Someone who's looking for the edge that makes the difference. Now prove it. Not to me. To yourself. To your future self, who's waiting for you to finally show up. Choose your 0.01% for tomorrow. Right now. Before you close this video, what's the one micro shift you're committing to? The one small thing that aligns with who you're becoming? Write it down, say it out loud, drop it in the comments below so the universe and this community can witness your commitment. And then do it, tomorrow, when motivation fades, when it feels too small to matter, when nobody's watching. Do it anyway, because that's when it counts most. That's when character is built. That's when future you is forged. Before you go, 3 things. Hit that like button if this resonated, if something shifted, if you see the path forward more clearly now. Share this video with one person, someone who's ready, someone who's hungry, someone who needs to hear that change isn't about perfection. It's about 0.01% repeated until it becomes everything, and subscribe. Because this is just the beginning. We're building something here, a community of people who choose growth, who understand that small, consistent actions compound into extraordinary lives. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself. Thank you for believing that 0.01% matters. Because it does, and so do you. Now go. Start your 0.01% journey. Today, right now, this moment, your future self is waiting, and they're going to be so grateful you started today. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. Today I start 0.01% every day.